Aloha. This video, I just wanted to bring everything back to the core of where I'm coming from on this channel and just kind of share like how it all boils down to me, like what I'm really saying when I put these videos together, and how all of this stuff is pieced together, because everybody sees everything from their own eyes, from their own perspective. And you have people who are still learning, people who are still learning about the system, the conspiracies, learning about flat earth, ultimately learning about themselves, learning about humanity. We're all learning in our own pace, at our own pace, in our own time, and all of the subject matters are different because it's ultimately up to the individual to choose what he or she is interested in, or what he or she is looking to expand upon based upon their perspectives of humanity, their perspectives of themselves, what they want to work on, so on and so forth. Excuse me. That's why it's so kind of like, some people might see this channel is all over the place, or they'll see one video and expect a certain thing, because that's the design of the system. The system is very linear. It tells you what to think. It tells you how things are supposed to be. And if you're not at all like that, then something is wrong with you. This is pretty much at the epicenter, the core of white supremacy and the colonial programming of savages and primitives. You guys are not part of the new world. The new world dresses like this. The new world speaks like this. And when you're watching a National Geographic or BBC interview or documentary, it's supposed to be spoken eloquently, and you feel it deep inside your soul. It's a whole mechanism. I was just at a friend's house the other day, and they were watching TV in general, but I think Modern Family was on. And I hadn't seen like regular TV like that in a while, on a regular basis. So it was like a full-on hour and a half. And I was just seeing how something, for example, like Modern Family, how it's coded. It tells you how to think about society. It tells you how your kids are supposed to act. That's the main thing, because kids are the ones who soak up this information so much. They want to be a certain way. They want to act a certain way. What happens with that, when that happens, is that while they're trying to be something or somebody else, they're simultaneously not being themselves, and subconsciously, at least, hating themselves, because they do not know themselves, and what they are is counter to what is accepted as popular or cool or hip or whatever it is. We don't think it's such a big deal because, that's life. That's the way society is. But what society are we talking about? That's what I've been saying in all these other videos. This stuff we kind of wash or push to the side as, not a big deal. Some people do that with flat earth. But some of the stuff that we push to the side is not a big deal when you really boil it down to like a psychological perspective, or even biological perspective. It really does matter. So every commercial, you're being programmed with sex and food. That's the main thing. That's the majority. That's 2/3 at least of every commercial, every Instagram and Facebook, social media, all this stuff. They sell it to you. That's how they sell it to you. Look at the Super Bowl, the most expensive. This is another way to see how things are coded. Follow the money. Look at Super Bowl ads. Think of what you think of when you see a Super Bowl ad. I think of beer, barbecues, the 3 B's: beer, barbecues, and breast. It's sex, drugs, and food. That's how they lock it in your reality. So they get the half-naked Carl's Jr. girl, biting into a burger with ketchup, running down the side of her mouth, and she's in a bikini and the sun is glistening off of her tan skin and whatever it is, like the Corona commercials that are just people sitting on the beach and you're listening to the waves and they crack open a Corona. This is how this all is. This is not something that is little. This is Rome. This is what I've been trying to say in all of these videos. What a lot of people don't really understand is we've fallen for the Tom Hanks alchemy. That's basically what this is. It's a Tom Hanks alchemy. Right now, Rome never fell. It never fell. It just transitioned into what we are experiencing today. So if you're talking about flat earth, if you're talking about conspiracies, even Alex Jones talking about the globalists, he's not talking about Rome. Excuse me. He's talking about 1776, which was a false flag. Excuse me. Sorry. Which was a false flag fight within Rome. So what are we really talking about here? If you understand the alchemy of this system and how it works against you, or if you claim to do that, then you have to ask yourself, regroup and ask yourself, like, what am I really talking about? What am I really saying? How far am I willing to go? What are we really talking about here when we are saying that the entire makeup of our universe has been fabricated? The entire makeup of our perspectives of reality from a human perspective have been fabricated. Our entire relationship to nature have been fabricated. Our relationships to each other have been fabricated. Our relationships to ourselves, the soul, the mind, the body. All of this has been synthesized and recalibrated to channel this energy into a system of haves and have-nots. The power grid as we experience it today. It's a complete manifestation of the king and queen systems of ancient Rome and ancient Greece and that whole idea of democracy. It was an idea of democracy back then. Nothing has changed. If you think something has changed, that means you have to pride yourself in something of today. That something of today fits inside of Rome still. Why? Because it all boils down to energy and power, or power is energy. So the energy is how your mind thinks, how your body grows, and how your spirit expands. The soul, the mind, and the body. How are these being manipulated? You have the spirit and or soul, your connection with all that is, or the non-physical. You have mainstream religions there to install guilt, install shame, install filtering, censoring agents between you and what you ultimately are. And then inherently those systems fight themselves. So that's a lockdown on the soul. So you have all these mainstream religions fighting themselves through each other's subconscious and conscious reality, which is an inner fight forever. This is why you can never activate on a really balanced level the energies of your soul relationship to your body and your mind. Your mind is obviously a lockdown with the public education system, the distraction of social media, the so-called pop culture, mainstream media, your university system, your idea, your supposed intellectual interpretations of this universe, of this reality. They're all locked down. They're all prefabricated for you, and then people will defend that to the umpteenth degree. They'll tell you you're stupid without actually confirming that you're stupid. In order to call somebody, that's how deep this program goes. I mean, people believe Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock so much. These are like the top two people who make you believe into this reality. Because like I said in many previous videos, it's not what you say all the time, it's also what you don't say. Tom Hanks out there is the golden boy of the mainstream media. So I'm just using him as an example. Basically, all of the Hollywood celebrities are the same. All of them are Tom Hanks. They all make you believe in this system in some kind of way. Sandra Bullock is another example. She does charity work. She adopts little babies here and there from all over the world. You know, all these people who are just, saying that they're doing amazing things and they're doing this and this, and they get televised for you to see this. My question is, why? Something like Modern Family is the same thing. Why are those stories on television? If you think there's a difference between why particular stories and particular people and particular perspectives are on television, if you think there's a difference between those stories and the alchemy of sex, drugs, and food used to condition your child mind, your adult mind, and the relationships between all of those. If you think there's a difference between what's on the actual TV shows and what's on the commercials, then you're missing something. It's one story, one movie, one mind control program. And if you really pay attention to it, you can see that largely nothing has changed. However far back you want to go, nothing has changed. We are living in Rome. White supremacy did not go away. Racism did not go away because the civil rights movement came about and the Civil Rights Act came into place. That was designed to make you not understand, understand, and overstand what white supremacy is, what racism is, and what the origins are. This is not to say that only white people can be racist. What I'm saying is that the origins of this program have a very specific intent to maintain power and control on one end and destroy everybody else. You can take it all the way back to the genetic interpretations of this with white genetic annihilation if you want to go into Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's work. All of this has a very definite meaning, intent, a purpose, not only in for you individually, but for us collectively. Look at the television. Look at what they're telling you. They're not only making you believe in the stories that they're telling you, they're making you believe in the people that they're putting in front of your faces. So like I said, all of these actors, musicians, they're just another version of Tom Hanks to make you believe in Rome. And the more you believe in Rome, the more you believe in the style of Rome. And the style of Rome is enslavement and distraction. Sex, drugs, and food. They control the food, limit your water. They amplify your relationships through the sexual scope, which is controlling your child's minds, your mind, your relationships. It's amplifying, strife. It's amplifying fights, aggression, all within this physical reality. Then you have the soul locked down with the politicians, the mainstream religions, your university system. Your university system, the religion of the university system is atheism. We got to get real with this stuff in order to really see what's going on here, in order to piece all of this stuff together. We have to see that we have to actually see and say what we see. If we do not say what we see, then you're not really seeing anything to its maximum potential, because what good is seeing something if you don't say what you see? We see all of these conspiracies, and that's why this program benefits so much from non-action because they don't have to act. The so-called they don't have to do anything if we're still enslaving ourselves. And you enslave yourself nowadays with believing in the system and being distracted by the system and protecting the system and priding the system. You're protecting Rome. You're priding yourself in Rome. If you're talking about the so-called forefathers, you're priding yourself in genocide. You're priding yourself in slavery. If you're talking about America from a United States perspective, from a 1776 perspective, you're priding yourself in apathy. You're priding yourself in the destruction of the natural peoples of the Americas. And that's an example all over the world. Go to Australia and look at the Aboriginal Australians, the indigenous Australians. New Zealand, the Polynesian people of the Hawaiian Islands, Samoa, and all throughout there. People in Hawaii are still fighting for their lands. They're still saying, what the hell is going on? Are we ever going to speak of this stuff? It's more difficult because you have Hollywood out here constantly distracting you with the dumbing down of stuff like Modern Family. So Modern Family not only like distracts you, makes you laugh this reality into your reality, but it's also making you act like this system. You become the system. You become the apathy. You become this destructive nature. And just like an abusive relationship, once you become climatized to an abusive relationship, you just close the door on everything else, that all the abuse that's happening there. It's largely what's happened with this whole focusing on 1776, the globalists versus the patriots. The NFL teams do this, the same thing. And Major League Baseball does this. This is why the Redskins have a team. That's why the Redskins are named the Redskins. This is to desensitize you, to make you feel so hopeless, so helpless in challenging the system. You can't even get them to change the name of something that is completely ridiculous. That's how powerful they are. That's what they're telling you. We are in so much power that we don't give one shit about what your morals or ethics are. They don't matter. Why? Because Rome, bitch. That's why. This is Rome. So if you're like, that's why I said in the video where I was talking about flat earth going mainstream and all these people just hoping that the flat earth goes mainstream. And I'm looking at you like, you're talking about Rome, right? And this is the thing. It's so ingrained in the people and where we create our foundations. Like in Patricia's show. Look in the background of her live streams. You'll see the American music jukebox. You'll see the albums. You'll see the British guitar, American, British music, the blending of the European takeover of the Americas. That's no different than Alex Jones telling you that this is 1776. That version, Flat Earth going mainstream, is the same energy, the same intent of Alex Jones saying we need a revolution based upon 1776. Telling you Flat Earth only needs to go mainstream and not really looking at any of the human story, anything beyond that, anything, the origins of the mainstream, is no different than Alex Jones telling you to make America great again. And it's not like these individuals are bad people if they don't know what. That's what I'm saying. I don't know these people. I don't know whether they're controlled opposition actively or not. All I know is inherently, when you're selling a story based upon a limited foundation, you are inherently a controlled opposition. You could be the nicest fucking person in the world. It doesn't matter. That's why I said Tom Hanks is a security guard for Rome. Sandra Bullock is the security guard for Rome. They are blocking your ability to tear this system down from the human perspective. Because like I said, Rome is based upon inhumanity. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, food, all that stuff. Yes, you might naturally, this is what I'm saying. The alchemy is in how it's manipulated. That's where it changes. See, there's nothing wrong with sex. There's nothing wrong with food. There's nothing wrong with rock and roll or music. But when it's coded to work against you, when it's coded, manipulated, genetically modified, programmed to tell a particular story or many stories, that's when it starts to destroy you. This is what heliocentrism has done. This is what the university system is doing. This is what the mainstream media is doing. This is what your politics and all of these late night talk shows talking about Trump every single day. Why? Because that's coding. It's programming. It's focusing your energy. Every day you're waking up thinking, at least subconsciously, I wonder what they're going to talk about Trump today. I wonder what Trevor Noah is going to say about Trump today. I wonder what Seth Meyers and John Oliver and Bill Maher and Alex Jones and Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian, all these people that are projected into your face, they're put into your reality on purpose to maintain that frequency. That frequency maintains your distraction through a limited focus. It's no different than somebody who consumes themselves with video games or social media or food or drugs. It's the same thing. It's not about the information itself. It's how the information is being used. It's being used to suck you in to a dead end reality. It's being used to suck you in to a deeper interpretation of this Western enslavement program. So a friend of mine just the other day, and I talked about this in previous videos, the United Nations, and if I don't forget, I'll share it. If not, I'll share it in the description. The United Nations has this 2030 outline of, sustainable world and sustainable nations, and trying to make it look like they're, fixing the world. It's not about that. It's like climate change. They're trying to make you think like they give a shit about you and the earth. They don't. It's a design. The design is, we will destroy everything. So much so that any kind of so-called forward progress that comes on an international scale will be welcomed with open arms. This is the real polar shift that people are talking about. People think, oh yeah, the polar shift is coming, that whole conspiracy stuff. The actual polar shift is the polar shift of your consciousness. You've been controlled and manipulated through the destructive consciousness over these last years, but your consciousness has expanded through the information naturally and synthetically with the internet and all that other stuff too. But the point is, your consciousness has shifted in a sense to where you're no longer just accepting the reality as it's packaged for you. You are questioning your reality and thinking for yourself. That's true love. That's one of the subcategories of true love. You are challenging yourself beyond anything else to say, I want the truth, however much it's going to hurt. I will look at all of this information, because as long as we do not look at the truth, somebody else is going to be hurt, and that hurt and that pain that is going to be largely because other people didn't say anything. So this is where the United States of America is right now, and so-called first world countries. All of the so-called first world countries, they're all responsible for what has happened to the third world countries, because all of these so-called first world countries made their way through the Roman Empire to become what they are today. This is not anything new. This is just something that a lot of people just feel completely hopeless about and don't want to talk about, because that's when you start to get into challenging yourself to come about with solutions, or realizing, actually looking in the face how far you need to go. And one of the main reasons why you don't go there is because of assholes like Tom Hanks. Like that whole thing, like I said. Anyway, I'm just using Tom Hanks as an example of like pop music, catchy commercials selling you pizza rolls, selling you like KFC, pink buckets of KFC, pink canned foods, pink ribbon cancer fighting canned food drives that give you cancer. All of this is how this system works. Look at the Red Cross. Everybody's doing all this weather research now, and this emergency safety stuff that's going on. You know, really looking into these people. I've been talking about the Red Cross. Like, what are they doing with that blood? That's another thing. That's what I was thinking about in 2008. I'm like, man, they're really pushing this whole blood drive thing, because I was giving blood because I'm O negative. I was giving blood, I mean, on the regular. And they even making it an incentive in the army to where if you give blood, then I think you get like half a day off. Sometimes it varies between companies. So you'll get like the rest of the day, half a day off if it's not too crazy. Or, I mean, it's not universal, but that's a thing that's out there. Like, people know this. So yeah, and then they really tell you like this is happening, and you need to, because I know they test on soldiers all the time. Soldiers are the test subjects for the civilian population. They test it on the soldiers, and then once it's ready, once they've gotten all the kinks out of it, like your microchip that's in your debit card, that was first tested in the ID cards of the soldiers in the military. And veterans know about this stuff. So the same thing happens with your vaccines. They don't want these kids to be dropping dead on sight, so they'll test it on military kids first. Yes, the kids. This is what pissed me off so much about the H1N1 vaccine stuff, where I almost got kicked out right before I got out, because they're pushing this stuff on these kids. The wives and husbands of these soldiers and their kids, they're first in line to get this shit. And what do they all have? Military hospital records. And where does all that information go? Straight up to the top. They have all of this on an Excel spreadsheet, and they're looking at the numbers. Who got sick? What race were they? Where were they? This part of the country? Which vaccine did they have? Was it mixed with this vaccine? What time did they get it? How old are they? Do they have any pre-existing conditions? Where did they move? What vaccine did they get when they got there? These are records that are being kept by the military. This is not some far-fetched thing. This is actually happening. These are the test subjects. And then all of those free flu vaccine shots that you get at, like, all those signs that you see at like CVS and Long's-Drugs. I don't even have Long's-Drugs anymore. Woolworths. You know, all these signs that you see about get your flu shot, you know, flu season. What the hell is a flu season? What? No, there is no flu season. That's a conditioning program right there. And then you have, what do you have on television on these commercials? These little kids, they're like, oh, Bobby's got a little cold. I hope it's not the flu. Boom. Kids are going because one little funky snot-nosed ass kid on television sneezed. You got 10,000 people in that radius of that commercial taking their kids to go get a damn flu shot because one little asshole sneezed and some blob of disgusting mucus started going around talking about Mucinex. This is a mind control program. They're testing and destroying the natural population. And they're just utilizing it now with stuff like technology and the New Age program. It's another one. Like I said in previous videos, they destroy you and control you with destruction in the past because they could. Why waste your energy on controlling people if they can just control themselves with fear? Why? No. You let them do it, which is what's happening now. Look at the comment section. Look at people hoping that the flat earth goes mainstream and that the flat earth is going to save the world, or that the New Age is going to save the world. They literally, people in the New Age literally cannot, they literally think they're in another world. They're saying those people don't exist in my universe because I'm such a high vibrating being. Low vibrating beings who are still in the back and forth world of, fight and war and apathy and destruction. They don't exist. They are on their journey. They have some kind of karmic timeline that they have to get through, and they'll make it here eventually. This is the mentality of the New Age, and it's backed by all of this alien talk. Oh yeah, the alien, because the aliens so-called think that way. The extraterrestrials, because channelers do not speak about this, they poo-poo it aside and say, we will not entertain such fear. Listen to Bashar when he was challenged about like chemtrails and the government. For people who know about the New Age and all that other stuff, like listen to these channelers when they're faced with like boots on the ground stuff. I call it boots on the ground stuff because it really just boils down to, your human resources, your food, your water, your shelter, the stuff that, that's the world we're really talking about when we're talking about the destructive nature of this reality. In the New Age, it says pretty much they jump into the clouds and they stay there at the expense of part of the mind and completely the body. They say just because you have a soul, the body doesn't matter. Just because you are a soul, the mind doesn't matter. So I'm living in 1/3 of Blissville. That's what the New Age world is. 1/3 of bliss is a hell of a lot more bliss than a lot of people who are trapped in destruction. And that's what they pride themselves in. So I'm so blissed out. Why don't you just be blissed out? Why? Look around. You can't look around. Because if you look around, all those people that you said, we're all one. Really? We're all one? So you mean your story is one story with this story, the New Age story? How does that work for you? How do you fit that in your mind? They just did the same thing Tom Hanks does with the mainstream media. Act like it doesn't exist. Act like it doesn't matter. Everything is just okay. Why? Because songs like was it Saturday? Let me read these lyrics. Saturday in the Park. I was just listening to this the other day. It came on the radio. Chicago. This whole Saturday in the park. I think it was the 4th of July. That shit, that's Tom Hanks right there. People dancing, people laughing, a man selling ice cream. Just continue accepting your slavery. It's the same shit. Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock don't give a fuck about you, like Kanye said about George Bush and black people. I mean, he's still his sister too, but it's just varying layers of the same thing. He said it from that perspective, like the mainstream trying to instigate race, problems because they created the problem in the first place. When I say the word or the term a racist, what comes to your mind? Possibly a guy dressed in a hood or a Confederate flag hat yelling at somebody really ignorantly about, how they are the supreme race, or you need to get out of this country. This is my country, and so on and so forth. That's what you think of as like the poster child for a racist. But you don't really look at the whole picture as being built upon that destructive mentality. That is a big part of how this system works. That's why I said, just because the mainstream media is using that idea against us for us to fight ourselves doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Doesn't mean you just push it away and don't look at it and don't do anything about it. It's just another assault against the people that we definitely have to do something about. And just because it's not affecting you, because if you're in some higher consciousness, whether it's from a new age perspective or a flat earth perspective, there's a lot of flat earthers think the same way. Oh, I discovered flat earth and I realized that I have a meaning or purpose and we're all human. How's that any different from the new age thought process? That's completely uprooted. There's no grounding agent there. You're completely throwing out the other thirds of your reality. You still have to do something with the mind control, and you still have to do something with the physical engineering that's going on, the conditioning program that's going on. Or not. You can stay blissed out for the rest of your life in a 1/3 code of your reality. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And like I said, ain't nothing wrong with anybody who's thinking anything counter to what I'm saying. Everybody's going to think however they're going to think. I'm just giving examples of how I see this stuff because I've gone through the new age program. I've seen that world. I see how people are brand new to it and then they become a different person. I was presented with that. I still have friends who are in that kind of space. No different than like growing up in East Oakland or West Oakland, and then people are the same. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. It's locking you into a label, locking you into one structure, one idea of yourself, and once you get comfortable, that's it. You're done. You're not actively growing anymore. I mean, you're constantly growing, but you're not actively, consciously growing because you've accepted what the reality has presented to you. So you're living in Saturday in the Park forever. You're living in hopes to become Sandra Bullock and Tom Hanks and I don't know, whoever else is out there. And as long as they're okay with this reality, if they're okay with Rome, I mean, Tom Hanks is cool with, the globe, Earth. You guys are so silly. These flat earthers. Come on. Tom Hanks believes the Earth is a globe. So you guys are just the stupidest people in the world. In fact, you guys are just... You're anti-Tom Hanks. How in the hell could you be anti-Tom Hanks and anti-Sandra Bullock? You're an enemy of the state. Something is wrong with you for thinking something differently than what Tom Hanks believes in. How dare you? So this is what TV shows like Modern Family do to you. This is what celebrities, this is what, okay, think of this. Why is there a Hollywood? Why are there celebrities? Think of just like natural people living on the land, happily having relationships with their family, with their loved ones, with their children, with their friends in their little community, and not having all of this outside world, because that's largely what it is. It's another world. Celebrityism, Hollywoodism, scientism, democracyism, capitalism, all of these isms were invented. And then when they were invented to make you think that that's what they were supposed to be, then they were manipulated. They changed the calibration. They flipped the polarity on it and then sold you something else. No different than a salesman. This is what this whole world is. You've been bought and sold into your own enslavement. This is Rome. We're still in Rome. And you can have a million flat earth stories out there. If you're not talking about Rome, which will kill its own people for your entertainment, for your distractions, hence 9/11, hence the military-industrial complex, and Vietnam, and the so-called war on terrorism, and the prison-industrial complex. They will kill and enslave their own people just to maintain your distraction. Hence Donald Trump being in everybody's mouth. You're talking about a completely this guy is a man-child. And it's not only him, it's basically the entire system and the community that believes in him. And then when you have powerhouses like Alex Jones and InfoWars believing in a man-child and what he believes in, and then there's that secrecy of maybe he's just playing a role. Maybe he's just, maybe it's just a thing that something will happen. They have you living in the future that they create for you. It gets activated when they want to activate it for you. So this is what happens in the New Age community. What is the future of the New Age community? When your extraterrestrial brethren come down and they save everything by unifying humanity and connecting with your star family. You're a star seed. And you know this because it's not just a physical star seed like Neil deGrasse Tyson tells you that your elements are the same elements of the universe. But your soul elements are the same soul elements as the Pleiadians and the Andromedans and the Orions and whoever else is out there. You are one of them. You are one of us. We're star family. Great. When? 2012, 2015, 13, 17, 18, 20, definitely 2020, 2030. No, probably it's going to be 2033. Why? Because 33. See, 2033. Didn't even think of that, huh? 2 33s. Oh, wow. Double the 33ness. What's really going on here? Something double crazy. Double Illuminati. What's worse than the Illuminati? Double Illuminati. So you have people falling into whatever compartmentalized program that's comfortable for them. And this is pretty much the essence of every video that I'm putting out there is just, if you look at my earliest videos, it's just to share my journey. And in sharing my journey, a lot of people can avoid a lot of the mistakes that I went through and learn from a lot of the mistakes that I went through and learn from a lot of the lessons that I learned, and then build on top of that. And that's just, I mean, we're all doing that in every interaction, in every thought that you make. That's how we're all doing it. But since I've pieced it together with my experience through life and have the ability to verbalize it and then put it into some kind of outlet that other people can listen to or relate with, then it's just adding to it. It's adding to the frequency and the potential for change ultimately, because that's really what needs to happen here. Before any kind of forward progress happens in the scope of humanity and all this other stuff, we need to heal. There's a lot of grieving that hasn't been done yet. You cannot walk into the future if you haven't dealt with the past or the present moment. The door of the future will never open if you are bombarded, if you're held down by the past, if you're held down by the present moment. You can never open that door. And that's what this system is doing, to make you think that they are powerful. They have power over you. They say, we open the door to your future. In fact, we make the door of your future. So you don't even have a chance. Why do you even bother thinking for yourself? We think for you. Anybody who thinks outside of how we think is just stupid. They're crazy. They're a conspiracy theory. They're a quack, whatever it is. That's how this system works. It wants you to fight yourself and fight other people for it. So if they constantly hand you a bag full of wonderful futures, a SpaceX future, a Neil deGrasse Tyson future, a Michio Kaku future, a Bill Nye future, a Barack Obama future, a Michael Moore future, an Alex Jones future, a Cenk Uygur TYT future. Whatever future they're selling you, it's not yours. That's the whole point. And what future is that built on? What is the foundation of that future? And how does it relate to you and your ancestors, who is a reflection of your ancestors? It inherently separates, it severs the ties to your natural timeline, your natural beingness, physically and psychologically or intellectually, because you're locked into something that is not your own. This is the synthetic universe that I've been talking about in a lot of the previous videos. You're still in Rome. NASA is Rome. All the universities, that's Rome. This is the Roman Empire today, still. It's just got a bow on it and a fancy suit and a Tom Hanks voice selling you a Apollo 13. That's pretty much why. I mean, there are also good examples to use Sandra Bullock and Tom Hanks as examples. But when you see it from a perspective of Rome, you look at the golden boy of Hollywood, and he even went on the Colbert Show as like America's dad. That's a heavy duty mind control program. No different than when they say God on the Stephen Colbert Show, and what do you see? The blonde or the bushy white hair, white skin, bushy God talking to Stephen Colbert in such a manner that da 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 da. That's a hell of a mind control program. It's the same thing. It's not only the adults, because the adults just kind of wash it away and say, well, I got responsibilities. I got to go to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then, it's the kids that are getting this stuff. The kids are going to look at this information. They're going to look at all this. They're looking at it right now. It's affecting them right now. Then you have those individuals who play those roles, and you vested your whole trust and your love in them, because that's what Hollywood is. That's the alchemy of it. You trust, you love these people, and their beliefs become your beliefs. So when they not only believe in something, but they take it to the extreme of actually making a movie that's going to last forever. Tom Hanks in Apollo 13, Bruce Willis, Armageddon, Sandra Bullock, Gravity, Seth MacFarlane on this new sci-fi TV show, and all the other stuff that he does on Family Guy. All of these have a meaning and a purpose that affect us. This is Rome. So that's pretty much what I had for this video. I just wanted to emphasize the point that, what are you really talking about here? We know the magic that is being used against us. We know how it works. A lot of us know how it works. So you have to ask yourself, what is your magic? What are you really doing? What are you thinking? What are you manifesting into this world? What are you about? Who are you? Are you just going to accept this, whatever Rome gives to you on a regular basis? Are you going to act like are you going to be hopeless and just, welcome it with open arms? Oh, I can't wait till Flat Earth goes mainstream. That'll fix everything. It's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. I can't emphasize it enough. So that's pretty much what I had for this video. I just wanted to share a little more of the alchemy and how we interact with it. So all these YouTube channels, flat earth channels, conspiracy theory channels, wonderful work putting the information out there because you're helping people see for themselves and activate for themselves. But I'm asking these YouTube channels and conspiracy channels, like, are you actually activating? Are you going to do something with it? Like turn it on? Where are you coming from? What are your intentions with this? How far? That's what a lot of people stay away from. Because, a lot of people know where I'm coming from. If you've listened to a number of my videos and some of the newer subscribers here, this is for some of the newer subscribers, they know, the older subscribers know where I'm coming from. I've been saying this for a while now. But my main point is, where are you coming from? How far are you willing to go? I've broken it down as much as I can to the difference between humanity and inhumanity, largely based upon how obvious inhumanity is, because we're just still discovering what humanity actually is. It's kind of like the difference between what is normal and natural, because you always say, oh, what inhumanity is part of humanity, and people say that all the time. But a better example would be to say, what is the difference between what is normal and what is natural? It's normal to jump in your car and go down the street and buy a double cheeseburger, a fish fillet meal, and an orange lava burst and go to work. That's normal. It's normal. That doesn't make it natural, though. See, what was happening naturally before this world of normality came into place with the Roman Empire that is still today, the natural world has been bulldozered over. This is why they can't acknowledge any of the ancient technologies, and not only can't acknowledge the ancient peoples, but have to demonize the ancient peoples in order to build up the modern people, the modern family, the modern society. If you're not modern, something's wrong with you. You're anti-modern. You're anti-progress. And what kind of examples do they do this? This happens when people talk about flat earth all the time. Oh, come on. Are we going to go backwards? Have we not evolved past that? Where are you coming from? The 1600s? Are you de-evolving when you're talking about flat earth? You've heard all these things before. If you don't pride yourself in Rome, something is wrong with you. Do you see the correlations between that and the essence of racism, the essence of white supremacy? If you don't have blonde hair and blue eyes, if you don't look like Barbie, something wrong with you. If you don't speak like this, if you don't speak with an English accent, as an extreme example, something is wrong with you. That's not a little thing. That's the world of normalcy. But my whole point is, when will we challenge ourselves to reconnect with the natural world? Because largely that's what's happening right now. We are being synthesized into our own graves with technology, and they make you love it. Just like they make you love America with all the fighter jets flying over the Super Bowl. They make you love it with patriotism. They make you love Western civilization with technology. They make you love Western society with Hollywood, with Barack Obama, with Al Gore and Russell Brand and the Modern Family TV show. They make you love this stuff. Your love maxes out at apathy, hopelessness. This is a fact. If you have apathy and hopelessness in your subconscious mind, in your subconscious reality, the fabric of this conscious reality, if you have that, and you have built a castle on top of that foundation, which is what the United States is, you're living at the max out of what that foundation is. You can only build yourself up so high. Because if you go too far, you'll stand out and you'll be kicked down. If you also go too far and you're not noticed, you'll break your own foundation. And this is the creation and destruction process that we're constantly going through. We're constantly thinking, I got it. This is it. This is what happens with flat earth. This is what happens in the New Age community. This is what happens with people like Barack Obama. We did it. This is what happens with things like InfoWars and Alex Jones. He's saying the truth. He's a true patriot. We did it. This is what's happening with TYT. This is what happens every day with your local news in the mainstream media. This is what happens with comedy shows like Trevor Noah, John Oliver, and Stephen Colbert. They do that for you instantaneously through comedy. They say, we got it. We're the good ones. Those are obviously the bad ones. Are you still not realizing that you're in Rome? While you're playing this Hegelian dialectic back and forthness forever, you're still playing in the sandbox of Rome. And it's quicksand, which is why they have to have you focusing on the so-called future so much, because they know they're building castles on a quicksand foundation. And as soon as people realize that this foundation is quicksand and that people are dying and suffocating from it, as soon as people realize that, all of their castles will come tumbling down. And as long as you keep distracting yourself with whatever it is that you choose to distract yourself with, you will not be doing anything for bringing down those sandcastles and addressing this quicksand foundation. You'll actually be helping them build it up. So I say it's so important to realize the dangers of buying into a shallow interpretation of society, reality, so-called positive growth and forward thinking. If you think that, flat earth is the answer to everything, you're wrong. You're wrong from every angle. It's only a part of a system, like I said in a previous video, and I'll end it on this. Scientism is a subcategory to Western so-called civilization. Scientism is one faction of the power grid of control. It is a large faction because they build your entire universe. But it's not the scientists that are ruling over you. It's not the scientists that make you enslave yourselves. It's not the scientists who have genocided and massacred the indigenous people across the earth and stole this land and once they stole the land, started pumping all this stuff into the atmosphere. It's not only the scientists. That's just one part of the foundation. It's probably one pillar. But the foundation itself that sits upon those pillars, what is that? What is the foundation that the pillars are sitting on? Holding up the other foundations. If we don't speak on these issues, we're just going to be spinning our wheels forever. Nothing will actually change. It's always going to be changing on its own, but like I said, conscious change. Like conscious. You're always changing. Your nails are always growing, your hair is always growing. That's happening on its own. But consciously, you change when you see something in yourself. That's what I'm talking about. That's a different kind, a different world, a different universe of change. That's never been allowed to happen collectively. It's not being allowed to happen because we're locked into Hollywood. We're locked into Rome. We're locked into that whole Western idea of our experience. And the bodyguards like Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock maintain that world. We're never allowed to actually change and grow and truly evolve ourselves because we think our evolution, our expansion is based upon this system that maintains our hopelessness and our apathy. It's wrong. It's the other way around. But you won't know that until you actually experience it for yourself, until you've gone the distance. The New Age program is not the distance. The flat earth realization or the not globe realization is not the distance. It's just part of the journey. And it's dangerous to think that it is the journey or it is the distance. Just as dangerous as being distracted by commercials and the university system, it's equally just dangerous. And I say more dangerous because there's more truth there. They only use a little bit of truth. They can distract you with, fancy wrappers, like candy wrappers and stuff like that. They will. There's no truth there, but the actual, when you're selling a distraction program or a limitation program with actual truth in there, it's more dangerous because you're going to have more people locking themselves deeper into a belief system that says, this is it. That's why a lot of people attack me on my channel saying that I'm dividing the flat earth community with, get out of my face with all that nonsense. That's how it creates stagnation. So anyway, this video has gone on long enough. I just wanted to share that whole perspective. I'm not gonna go through putting that United Nations thing in the video. I'll probably put it in the beginning so you can look at it yourself and read it for yourself. Just in the beginning. And then you can recall it and go through it. But yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to expand upon this sandcastle and ask people, like, where are we really going? What are we really doing? What are we talking about here? Excuse me. What are we What are our goals? What are your goals? And that's scary for a lot of people. This is why people like Mark Sargent and Patricia Steere have to constantly play that. And it's not like they're consciously playing it. Playing the, everything is wonderful. We're such amazing, great people. We're so nice. That's an example of, they're just the Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock of Flat Earth. They make you believe in all this. They soften it up. What I'm saying is that they might not even know, like some of the people, the low budget Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullocks in the system, a lot of them don't even know what they're actually doing or what they're being used for. Same thing could be possible for people in the flat earth community, but you best believe there's going to be some definite controlled opposition in something like flat earth. It's going to make you think a certain way and not really go the distance. That's what I'm saying. It's dangerous, whether you know it or not. They just Saturday in the park. I think it was a 4th of July. I think it was a flat earth and a flat earth meetup. That's all it is. It's the same thing. You gonna keep playing that story over and over again? How long? When's it gonna stop? Is that what you want? Do you want to maintain the system built on genocide? Are you trying to heal the system and claim that it's healing yourself? Really, what are we talking about here? You're having a good time on 4th of July? You enjoying yourself? That turkey dinner, that turkey's delicious, huh? Thanksgiving, it's about family. Like them hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill. That apple pie. Smells delicious, doesn't it? Sit back on the couch, kick back a few beers, watch the Redskins. Watch the Cleveland Indians play the Washington Nationals. I mean, what? This is not new. This is not something I'm bringing up. I mean, I'm making up. This stuff exists. Everything is just part of this story. It's all one story. So, yeah, I've gone on long enough. But hopefully some people who didn't really see where I was coming from, or maybe hadn't really seen where they were coming from, can now look a little deeper now, or at least have that door cracked open to do so. That's what I hope when I'm making like this video. And for other people who've been here on this channel for some time, thank you for your support. Once again, I really do appreciate all the comments, all the sharing, all the people who are sharing the last video with Michio Kaku. That was probably like the most shared video on this channel. I don't get too many. Still kind of small. But I don't have Facebook for all the people who are new. I don't have Facebook. I just have Instagram. I'm not doing Facebook or Twitter anymore. So I really do appreciate people who do share the videos on Facebook, on Twitter, and all that other stuff, because that's how this channel has grown, and that's how this information is continued to expand, because it does kind of charge me up to do so. So anyway, I got on long enough. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.